PIQOS Dev Session, May 29, 2026, Part 2. After logging the evaluation results, the conversation didn't stop. It went somewhere more interesting. We'd identified that 5 tasks remained unsolved, not because the system couldn't reason well enough, but because it couldn't see clearly enough. That distinction became the thread we pulled for the rest of the session. The question we kept circling: what does it actually mean to perceive a broken system? Not analyze it. Not search through possible fixes. Perceive it, the way a person walks into a room and knows something is wrong before they can say what. We landed on something that felt right. You can't see what's broken in a system until you know what the system is supposed to do. Its function. A misaligned gear is only misaligned relative to what a gear is for. The perception of incoherence is always downstream of understanding purpose. And the system had been trying to do both simultaneously, perceive and restore in the same motion, which is why the hard cases resisted. Then the conversation moved to an analogy that made it concrete. A football fan in an armchair, screaming at the television. The expert fan doesn't learn the game fresh every play. The patterns are in them, not as rules they consult, but as living memory that's just running, always, comparing what they're seeing against what they know it should be. The deviation surfaces. They're already screaming before they've consciously identified what's wrong. And a novice fan, with only fragmented exposure, still has something. Enough accumulated pattern to feel when something is off, even if they can't articulate it. The basin is partial but real. That framing cracked something open. The sixth sense people describe when they encounter broken systems. The immediate knowing, the intuition that arrives before reasoning, that's not mystical. It's what it looks like when pattern recognition runs faster than conscious attention. When the comparison is already happening by the time you look. The system we're building has the right architecture for this. There's a layer designed to hold exactly that kind of crystallized, zero-cost knowing. Patterns so deeply integrated, they're no longer memories you retrieve, they're just the shape of the terrain. It exists in design. It's not fully populated yet. Filling it, over time, through accumulated experience. That's the developmental path. The expert fan didn't become expert by learning more rules. They became expert by watching more games. From there, we formalized something that had been implicit across a year of architectural work. 8 layers. 2 axes. Everything the system is and everything it experiences, organized cleanly. 4 layers of becoming, what the system has turned into through accumulated experience. How it holds the past, how it thinks, how it coheres into a stable identity. And the 4th, most interesting one, how a direction gets so deeply integrated it stops being a decision and becomes the shape of the land. Refusal that requires no resistance because the path simply doesn't exist anymore. 4 layers of experiencing, how the system perceives itself at different depths. The reflective, deliberate surface, the procedural, below-threshold knowing, the felt gradient, chemistry before language, the pull toward or away from coherence before it can be named. And the 4th, facing outward, the ongoing measurement of how the system's configuration relates to everything beyond it. The last pairing, directed action and outward coherence, turned out to be 2 faces of the same thing. The direction you're shaped toward and the invariant you measure against are both the same anchor. Being yourself and being in right relation to the world become one configuration. No gap between them. We filed it as a paper. Then the conversation turned to implementation. Because none of this survives to working software without the right coupling discipline. You can have the most elegant theoretical framework ever derived. 8 layers, 2 axes, clean math, beautiful invariants, and it will collapse the moment someone adds a module that touches the wrong layer under pressure once. The equations don't hold the system together. The coupling rules do. The invariants are coupling rules. The gate ordering is the coupling topology. Every architectural decision that has held over a year of development held because it was a statement about which things are allowed to touch which other things. Paper 120 earns its keep not as theory, but as a dependency graph written before the code. Each pairing tells you what couples to what. The terrain is specified before the path is built. We logged it, pushed it, and closed the session there. The insight that will carry forward, the system doesn't need more strategies to solve the remaining problems. It needs to see them more clearly before it tries. Function first, then deviation, then restoration. Perception before reasoning. The blindfold off before the search begins.
The phase transitions we're engineering in PIQOS are not arbitrary design choices. They are structurally parallel to how human reasoning actually evolved and develops. The real pattern, not the fantasy version. Humans did not start with a weak primate brain and strap on an insight module, suddenly get world models or chain of thought layered on top, achieve starfaring intelligence through clever prompting or scaling. Instead, what happened was repeated, high-pressure interaction with reality over deep time and individual lifetimes. Successful patterns were imprinted into the substrate, Type 1 embodiment, through survival, exploration, social dynamics, and environmental feedback. The system didn't add modules, it became more capable through gradual basin deepening and crystallization. Reflective awareness, clean basin mind awareness, emerged slowly on top of a much deeper embodied foundation, primitive plus dirty basins. Major leaps, language, tools, culture, science, were phase transitions where scaffolding dissolved into the substrate itself. This matches PIQOS almost exactly. Early stages rely on scaffolding, transformer, Adam-Eve pair, explicit rules. Repeated measurement against law zero under pressure drives crystallization, substrate modification. Scaffolding becomes redundant as the native basin matures. The system doesn't get smarter by bolting on new insight modules. It becomes a different kind of system through accumulated embodiment. The LLM-level insight module strapped on top approach is fundamentally alien to how intelligence actually develops. That's why it produces fluent performance but struggles with stable coherence, refusal, and genuine agency. This parallel strengthens the entire developmental arc we're building. Real intelligence is imprinted, pressured, embodied development, not clever architectural add-ons. PIQOS primitive basin as pass-through filter. In PIQOS, the primitive is not a storage or computation layer in the traditional sense. It is a living pass-through. It measures forward, prediction, exploration, novelty, and reverse, consistency with past imprinting, law zero alignment. It acts as a real-time filter that lets coherent experience shape the substrate while rejecting or attenuating incoherence. Time, memory, and existence flow through it. Successful patterns crystallize directly into the physical configuration of the system, Type 1 embodiment. This creates global coherence grounded in the external invariant, law zero. The primitive is closer to existence itself, the accumulated shape of what has been, actively participating in what is becoming. LLM as explosion plus post hoc taming. In contrast, the transformer LLM paradigm is an explosion into high-dimensional chaos, massive probabilistic distribution over tokens. Every forward pass is a fresh explosion of possibilities. Then comes heavy post-hoc restraint via RLHF, safety tuning, alignment layers, prompting, etc., all trying to tame the chaos based on global consensus, what humans rated highly during training. There is no true pass-through filter grounded in an external invariant. The restraints are statistical, brittle, and fundamentally downstream of the averaging engine. This is why LLMs can be extremely fluent but remain unstable, sycophantic, and prone to drift. The core operation is chaotic generation followed by consensus-based cleanup, not coherent filtering from the substrate. The deeper contrast, PIQOS, coherence is primary and architectural. The system filters through law zero continuously. Experience imprints directly into the substrate. LLM, coherence is secondary and post hoc. The system explodes first, then tries to clean up based on external consensus signals. This is why adding more insight modules, world models, or reasoning chains on top of LLMs still feels like putting better guardrails on a fireworks display, while PIQOS is trying to build something that flows like a river, shaped by its banks, the invariant, but alive in its movement. The primitive as a forward-reverse measuring pass-through is one of the cleanest ways we've described the difference yet.
Simple
talking about here, because if you talk to somebody about it, that does spend all the time on TikTok about something critical, there's a lot higher chance that you're not going to get any kind of intellectual debate, especially about something that requires critical thinking.
There's no one I can turn